Okay, so you ever get that feeling like heart's going crazy, palms are all sweaty, and your brain's buzzing?
Oh, yeah.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into stress management techniques.
Because
Let's face it, stress is like that annoying friend who just overstays their welcome.
it really is. And, you can't really get rid of stress. I mean, that's just not going to happen. It's just part of life.
Right.
But what we want to do is equip you with all the tools to manage that stress,
I like that.
build up your resilience.
Okay.
And who knows, maybe even learn to like stress a little bit.
Learn to like stress.
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
But, I get what you mean. It's about, like, changing how we view it, right?
Yeah.
Not pretending it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, all this stuff about fight or flight,
Yeah.
our ancestors, saber-toothed tigers, what's that about?
So imagine, back in the day, you're just walking across the savannah and suddenly, bam, saber-toothed tiger jumps out.
Oh.
Adrenaline kicks in, heart's pounding, you get super focused.
Yeah.
That's that fight or flight
Yeah.
response. Evolution's way of keeping us alive. Right.
So basically, our bodies are kind of stuck in the Stone Age. They haven't figured out that deadlines
Right.
and traffic jams aren't going to actually kill us.
Exactly. Our poor bodies are still reacting to, like, modern-day stress
Yeah.
with this, like, primal intensity. But, that takes a toll.
Yeah.
Being on high alert all the time, it just wears you down. That's why understanding all those different sides of stress, the good, the bad, that's just plain ugly,
Yeah.
it's got to be our first stop on this deep dive.
Okay, let's break it down.
Okay.
So it's not all bad, right?
No.
I mean, there's got to be good stress, the kind that pushes you, right?
Yeah, this is called eustress. Think of it like the thrill you get on a roller coaster.
I love roller coasters.
It gets you going, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It's that energy that helps you get through a new project
Okay.
or nail a presentation, It's what helps you rise to a challenge.
So eustress, like that shot of motivation, that little push we need. Okay, but what about the not so fun kind?
Well, we've got acute stress, which is, short bursts of pressure. Like when you have a deadline looming or you're about to give a speech, it's like a quick sprint. Intense, but it's over quickly.
Okay.
And then there's chronic stress, which is more like running a marathon you never signed up for.
I hate running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that constant tension, from things like, pressure at work.
Right, money trouble.
Exactly. And this kind can really wear you down over time.
So, okay, we got our stress vocabulary down.
We do.
But why does it matter? Like, what good is putting labels on all this?
Well, it helps you figure out what you're dealing with. Like it's reading a map before you set off on a trip.
Right.
It helps you pick the right route, the best way to deal with that specific kind of stress.
Okay, so instead of just feeling totally overwhelmed,
Yeah.
we can actually, like, target where the stress is coming from.
Exactly.
Like, deal with it better. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And if you ignore all those stress signals,
Right.
well, it's like driving a car with the parking brake on. Sooner or later, something's going to break,
You're true.
In the short term, you might get like headaches, feel super tired, digestive problems, maybe trouble sleeping.
Oh, yeah, all that fun stuff.
But in the long haul, chronic stress, that's linked to things like a weaker immune system,
Really?
higher risk of heart disease. It can even mess with your memory, and you can't concentrate as well. It's like stress is slowly, chipping away at you from the inside out.
Okay, that is a really good reason to take this stress management thing seriously.
Yeah.
But sometimes I gotta admit, when I get really stressed, I just freeze. It's like my brain just goes blank. Are there things we can do, like, right now?
Oh,
When it hits us?
There are some tricks that work almost instantly. One of my favorites is the 4-7-8 breathing technique.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Is it as simple as it sounds?
It really is.
Really?
Here's how it goes. Breathe in quietly through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7, and then exhale slowly through your mouth for 8 seconds. Just repeat that a few times. You should start to feel your heart slowing down, and calm will, like, wash over you.
So it's like hitting pause on the stress?
Yeah.
But how does just breathing like that actually work?
So this technique, it actually taps into your parasympathetic nervous system. Basically, it's your body's rest and digest button.
Oh, cool.
So by consciously slowing your breathing down, you're sending a signal to your brain to chill out.
That's amazing. We have a built-in stress reliever right there. What about other Instant stress reliever.
Another really good one is progressive muscle relaxation, which people
That's
call PMR.
PMR.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ever notice how tense your muscles get when you're stressed?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you do is you tense and then release different muscle groups, starting with your toes and working your way up to your head.
So like a self-massage.
Exactly. And when you release that physical tension, you're telling your mind it's okay to relax.
I like that. It's a 2-for-1. Relaxing your body and mind. Okay, what about when your mind's racing, like a million worries and to-dos all at once?
For that, visualization can really help.
Okay.
It's all about, using your imagination to create a calming space in your mind. Just close your eyes and picture your happy place.
So like escaping to a mental vacation?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it's just in my head?
Exactly. And here's the trick. Use all your senses. Imagine the sun on your skin, hear the waves crashing, or maybe smell the pine needles if you're in a forest.
Okay.
The more vivid you make it, the better it works to
Yeah.
transport you to that state of calm.
These are all amazing tips for those moments when you just need instant relief.
Yeah.
But what about for the long haul?
That's where things like mindfulness and meditation come in.
Okay.
They're not just trendy buzzwords.
Yeah.
They're backed by science.
Yeah. I gotta admit, sometimes mindfulness feels a little too out there for me. Can you explain it? Like, in a way even a skeptic could get.
Sure. Mindfulness is just about paying attention to what's happening right now without judging it. You're noticing your thoughts and feelings, but not getting swept away by them.
So instead of dwelling on the past or freaking out about the future,
Yeah.
I'm just like present in the moment.
Exactly. And you can practice it anywhere, anytime, like while doing dishes, walking the dog, even stuck in traffic.
Okay, I'm getting. So it's not about emptying your mind.
No.
It's just observing those thoughts without, like, getting lost in them. But how does that actually help with stress?
Well, studies have shown that mindfulness actually changes your brain, specifically the amygdala, which is like your brain's alarm system.
Okay, now you're speaking my language.
Right.
Break down this amygdala thing for me.
So the amygdala is always looking out for threats. It triggers that fight or flight response.
Mm-hmm.
But with mindfulness, you're basically teaching it to chill out, making it less jumpy, less reactive to everyday stuff.
Wow, so mindfulness is like a brain workout for stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more you practice, the better you get at it.
Okay, sold on mindfulness. But meditation, I mean, isn't that just like sitting cross-legged chanting? I don't see myself doing that.
Meditation is actually just a type of mindfulness. And you don't have to do any chanting or sit in any weird poses. It could be as simple as focusing on your breath, listening to a guided meditation, even just noticing what your body feels like.
So there are like different styles of meditation.
There are.
Okay. What about resources for someone who's just starting out?
Oh, there are tons of great apps out there. Calm, Headspace, things like that.
Okay.
They have guided meditations for all levels. Just start with a few minutes every day. You can slowly increase it as you get more comfy with it.
I've also heard that being good with time, like managing time, is a big part of dealing with stress. But time just keeps on ticking, right?
It does.
So how is that supposed to help?
Think about it this way. When you're always feeling overwhelmed and behind, it's like adding fuel to the fire. Time management isn't about cramming more into your day. It's about taking control of your schedule and prioritizing what really matters.
So work smarter, not harder, basically.
Exactly.
Are there any specific methods you recommend for that?
One that I really like is the Eisenhower matrix.
Okay.
It's a really simple but effective way to figure out what tasks to focus on based on how urgent and important they are.
Okay.
You put your tasks into 4 categories: urgent and important, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and then neither urgent nor important.
Okay.
This helps you focus on the stuff that really matters, delegate or just drop the rest, and avoid getting bogged down in busy work.
That sounds really good for getting out of that always-on mode.
Yeah.
What about other time management hacks?
Another one I love is the Pomodoro technique.
The Pomodoro technique.
Yeah, it's where you work in focused bursts of 25 minutes each. Then you take a 5-minute break, and after every 4 Pomodoros, you take a longer break, like 15, 20 minutes.
So it's like interval training, but for your brain.
Exactly.
I can definitely see how that would help focus. You know, speaking of boosting productivity, for me, exercise really helps with de-stressing, even if it's just a quick walk.
Yeah.
What's the science behind that?
Exercise is like a miracle drug for stress.
It does feel like that sometimes.
It lowers your cortisol, which is that stress hormone, and it releases endorphins, which, make you feel good.
It's like resetting your stress any, getting a happiness boost.
Exactly.
What's the best kind of exercise for this? Does it have to be like super intense?
The best exercise is whatever you enjoy doing and can stick with. A mix of, aerobic stuff like running, swimming, dancing, that's great for your heart. And it gets those endorphins flowing.
Okay.
But don't rule out the more chill things like yoga or Tai Chi.
Right.
They can really help release tension and help you relax.
So it's not about punishing yourself at the gym.
No.
It's about finding activities that make your body and mind feel good. All this talk about feeling good, it reminds me all the sources mention a strong support system, like having people you can lean on
Yeah.
as being super important for managing stress. Why is that?
Imagine you're carrying a heavy backpack and someone comes along and says, hey, let me help you with that. That's what a support system does. It helps you carry the weight of the stress.
Okay.
Talking to friends, family, a therapist, it lets you process your emotions, get some perspective, not feel so alone in your struggles.
It's like having your own personal cheerleading squad. And sometimes you just need someone to listen, without judgment.
Exactly. And, supporting others can also be good for you.
Really?
It reminds you that you're not alone.
Okay.
And it makes you feel more connected, like you have a purpose.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
We get support by giving support.
Exactly.
Okay, and then another thing, something I definitely struggle with
Yeah.
is sleep.
Sleep. That's a big one.
But I know it's important. Can you explain why it's so crucial for dealing with stress?
Think of sleep as your body's nightly reset button.
Okay.
It's when your body and mind repair and recharge.
Yeah.
But when you're stressed, it can mess with that whole sleep-wake cycle,
Yeah.
which means you get bad sleep, which makes you even more stressed.
Yeah.
It's this vicious cycle.
Ugh, a double whammy.
Yeah.
So how do we break out of this sleep stress cycle?
One of the best things you can do is have a regular sleep schedule, even on the weekends.
Really? Weekends too?
It really helps.
Okay.
It keeps your body's natural sleep-wake clock running smoothly, which makes it easier to fall asleep and wake up feeling good.
So consistency is key. But what about those nights when your brain just won't shut off?
A relaxing bedtime routine can really help.
Okay.
Like taking a warm bath, reading a book, listening to some calming music, maybe doing some light stretching. You're basically telling your body and mind it's time to wind down.
Creating a sleep sanctuary.
Yeah. And another thing, screens.
Oh.
They're a big culprit.
Yeah.
That blue light from your phone, tablet, computer, it messes with your melatonin production.
Oh.
And that's the hormone that helps you sleep. So try to avoid screens for at least an hour before bed.
Okay, yeah. Definitely guilty of scrolling through my phone right before bed. No wonder I can't sleep. Are there other habits that can make stress worse?
Those afternoon pick-me-ups might actually be working against you. Things like caffeine, sugar, nicotine, they can actually amp up your stress response.
So that extra coffee or sugary treat might be adding to the problem?
It might be.
Okay.
If you want to de-stress, go for calming stuff like herbal tea, water, maybe a piece of fruit.
Okay, so we've covered a lot, like understanding different types of stress, quick stress relievers, and long-term strategies.
Yeah, we have.
But, for a lot of people, work is a huge source of stress.
It is.
Any tips for managing stress, specifically in the workplace?
Oh, absolutely. The workplace can be stressful, but you can take control. The first step is to figure out what your triggers are.
So it's not just about how much work you have.
Right.
It's figuring out what about work is stressing you out.
Exactly. For some, it's deadlines.
Right.
For others, it's lack of control, a bad work environment, even just a messy desk.
It's about, getting to the root of the problem, not just slapping a Band-Aid on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once you know your triggers, you can start thinking about solutions. Remember, you have more control than you think.
I love that. It's about taking ownership of the stress.
Yeah.
But what if the stress is caused by things we can't control? Like, I don't know, company changes or a super demanding client?
Even then, there are things you can control, like your attitude, your reactions. Those stress-busting techniques we talked about earlier,
Right.
they're your secret weapon.
It's like having a whole toolkit. What about setting boundaries? Is that helpful at work?
Absolutely crucial.
Okay.
It's about learning to say no when you're already swamped, delegating tasks when you can, and making sure you take breaks.
So protecting your time and energy,
Exactly.
even in a crazy workplace.
Yeah, and don't forget about the power of just talking to people.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with your workload, feeling overwhelmed, talk to your boss, a trusted coworker.
It's about advocating for yourself,
Yeah.
asking for support. But what if you're not comfortable speaking up? Any tips for those conversations?
Stick to the facts.
Yeah.
Be specific about your worries.
Yeah.
For example, instead of saying, I am overwhelmed, say something like, I'm currently working on X, Y, and Z projects, and I'm worried about meeting all the deadlines.
Okay.
Could we talk about prioritizing or maybe delegating some of the work?
Right. So come to the conversation with solutions, not
Ex-
just complaints.
Exactly. Even if you're on top of your work, sitting all day can't be good for stress.
Right. You got to move.
You do.
Yeah.
Make sure you take breaks to move your body. Even just standing up to stretch or walking around the office helps a lot.
To little bits of movement throughout the day.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can, try to squeeze in some exercise.
Yeah.
A morning yoga session, an evening run, a brisk walk at lunch, whatever you enjoy.
Right.
It can really combat that workplace stress.
Okay. We've covered a lot about managing stress at work. Anything else you want to emphasize about that?
Just remember, you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
Everyone gets stressed at work. There's no shame in admitting you're struggling. Talking to coworkers, your boss, or even a therapist can be a huge help.
It's about normalizing talking about stress at work
It is.
and seeking help when you need it.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's switch gears a bit and talk about building resilience.
Okay.
What exactly does it mean to be resilient, and why is it so important, especially in today's world?
Resilience is your ability to bounce back from challenges, setbacks, even trauma.
Mm.
It's not about avoiding tough times. Those are going to happen.
Yeah.
It's about developing the skills and mindset to handle them and come out stronger.
So like an internal shock absorber for all the bumps in the road.
Exactly.
But how do you actually build resilience?
Yeah.
Is it like something you're born with, or
No.
can you develop
The
it?
good news is resilience is a skill,
Yeah.
and you can learn it.
Okay, good.
It's like a muscle you can strengthen.
Okay.
It's a mix of things
Huh.
like your mindset, self-awareness, coping skills, and also things like your support system and having access to resources.
So both internal and external factors.
Exactly.
Where do you even begin with all that? What are some things you can do to like actually strengthen that resilience muscle?
One of the best things is to cultivate a growth mindset. It's about seeing challenges as opportunities to learn and grow,
Okay.
not as threats or failures.
So changing how you think about setbacks,
Yeah, exactly.
seeing them as stepping stones,
Okay, what else?
developing your self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
It's paying attention to what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how you act. Understanding how those things influence your reactions to stress.
So it's like becoming a detective of your own inner world.
Exactly. Once you're more aware of your patterns, you can start to create healthier coping mechanisms.
So like replacing those not so helpful habits with more adaptive ones.
Yeah. What are some examples of those healthy coping mechanisms, especially for stress?
We've already talked about a bunch of them, like mindfulness, meditation, exercise, and connecting with people you care about. But it's also important to find things that make you happy and help you unwind,
Okay.
like reading, listening to music, getting out in nature, or doing a hobby.
So things that light you up. What about when you're feeling totally overwhelmed and don't even know where to start?
In those moments, try breaking the problem down into smaller steps.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on the huge, scary picture, just ask yourself, what's one tiny thing I can do right now to move forward?
Yeah.
Just take that one little step.
So any action, even a small one, is better than none.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to go through this alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Right. Reach out to friends, family, or a therapist.
Exactly.
It's okay to ask for help. And now, let's dive a little deeper into this whole resilience thing.
Okay.
The sources you shared talk about the mind-body connection, how all our thoughts, emotions, and physical feelings are tied together,
It's amazing, isn't it?
and how understanding this connection can be like a game changer for managing stress.
Absolutely. It's a
Oh.
powerful force. Have you ever noticed how your heart races when you're anxious or your stomach churns when you're nervous?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's how your thoughts and feelings show up physically in your body.
So like your body's a mirror reflecting what's happening inside.
Precisely. And what's fascinating is that it works both ways. So just as your thoughts and feelings can impact your body, your physical health can also influence your mental and emotional well-being.
It's a two-way street. But how can we use this mind-body connection to like our advantage when it comes to stress?
One of the best tools you have is your breath. When we're stressed, we tend to take short, quick breaths.
Right.
But when you consciously slow down your breathing and make it deeper, you can actually calm your whole nervous system down and lessen those feelings of anxiety.
So it's like hitting the brakes on that stress response.
Yes, exactly. Are there any specific breathing techniques you recommend?
Yeah, any favorites?
We talked about the 4-7-8 breath. That's a good one.
Right.
There are others like diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing,
Okay.
and box breathing, where you breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold, all for the same count.
So it's about finding a breathing technique that works for you.
Exactly.
Okay. What else can we do?
Moving your body is another great way to use that mind-body connection.
Right.
When you move, you release endorphins,
Yeah.
which makes you feel better. But exercise can also be a form of mindfulness.
Mindful movement. What does that mean?
It means paying attention to how your body feels as you move,
Okay.
noticing your breath, feeling the connection between your mind and body.
So it's not just going through the motions.
Yeah.
It's being really present in your body.
Exactly.
What are some examples of mindful movement?
Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong,
Okay.
even just walking can be mindful. The point is to focus on the now and to move with intention.
I love that. Turning everyday things into ways to deal with stress.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of things that can affect us, let's talk about our environment.
Yeah.
The sources you shared talk about how our surroundings can either add to stress or help relieve it.
It's true. Our environment plays a big role in how we feel overall. Think about it. Walking into a cluttered, messy space that instantly makes you feel more stressed, right?
Oh, 100%. I hate clutter.
You like visual noise bombarding your senses. But, a clean, organized, and visually appealing space can really calm you down.
So creating a space that supports your mental and emotional well-being.
Exactly.
But where do you even begin? Do I need to hire like a professional organizer?
You don't have to go that far. Start with small things. Declutter your workspace. Add some plants or put up a few things that make you happy.
So make it a space that's both functional and looks nice.
Exactly.
What about our digital environment?
Oh, that's a big one.
All those notifications and emails can be so stressful.
They can. You got to set some boundaries with your technology. Turn off those notifications, create filters for your email, and decide on specific times to check your devices.
So taking control of technology instead of letting it control you.
Exactly.
Okay. And what about people?
Oh, people are huge,
Yeah.
Like surrounding yourself with the right people.
Another important part of a supportive environment is fostering good relationships.
Yeah.
Be around people who make you feel good and who support you.
Right. Your stress-busting squad.
Yeah. What about those relationships that are draining?
Oh, yeah, those are tough.
Yeah.
What about those?
It's important to set boundaries in those too and protect your own well-being.
Oh,
Sometimes you got to limit contact or walk away from relationships that are toxic.
so being mindful of who you let into your inner circle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing we should talk about is self-care.
Oh, yes, self-care. It's so important,
It is.
especially when you're stressed.
It is. It's not selfish. It's essential. It's like you can't pour from an empty cup, right? True, true.
When you take care of yourself, you have more to give to others, and you can be your best self.
So it's not about those fancy spa days or anything. It's
Yeah.
about making time for things that nourish you,
Yeah.
right? Mind, body, and soul.
Exactly. Self-care means different things to different people. Maybe it's taking a few minutes to meditate, reading a book, walking in nature, having a cup of tea.
Finding those little things that bring you joy. But how do you actually make time for self-care, especially when you're already swamped?
Make it a priority, not an afterthought.
Okay.
Make it a priority.
Okay.
Schedule it into your day, like it's an important meeting. And even little acts of self-care can make a big difference.
So finding those small moments to recharge throughout the day,
Yeah. And the sources you shared also mentioned mindful eating
right?
as a way to manage stress. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
Mindful eating is about paying attention to what it feels like to eat without judgment. You're savoring each bite, noticing the flavors, the textures, really tuning in to your body's signals of hunger and fullness.
So it's like being present with your food,
Yes.
not just, mindlessly scarfing it down.
Exactly. When you eat mindfully, you're more likely to make healthier choices. You enjoy your food more, and you don't overeat.
Okay, I see. But how does this mindful eating thing actually help with stress?
Well, when we're stressed, a lot of times we turn to food for comfort.
Oh yeah, comfort food.
But if you're not paying attention while you're eating, it can lead to feelings of guilt and shame, which, just adds to the stress. Mindful eating helps you break that cycle.
So it's about becoming aware of your eating habits and making choices that support your well-being.
Exactly.
Any tips for how to practice mindful eating?
First, slow down. Get rid of distractions. Turn off the TV, put your phone away, create a calm space. And before you even take a bite, take a moment to appreciate the food. Notice the colors, how it smells, how it looks.
So really engage all your senses. What about while you're actually eating?
Chew slowly.
Okay.
Really taste it. Put your fork down between bites and ask yourself, am I still hungry or am I getting full?
So like tuning into your body's signals.
Exactly. And remember, mindful eating is a practice. It's not about being perfect.
Okay.
If you find yourself snacking without thinking or overeating, just notice it and try to bring your attention back to the present moment.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And speaking of things that make you feel good, we have to talk about humor.
Humor, yeah.
The research you shared mentioned that laughter can be a powerful way to deal with stress.
Laughter is the best medicine, right?
It really is. When you laugh, your brain releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting effects and even help with pain relief. It also helps lower those stress hormones, like cortisol and adrenaline.
It's like a triple whammy of stress relief. But how do you actually bring more humor into your life, especially when you're feeling stressed?
We'll start by noticing what makes you smile or laugh. It could be a funny meme, a silly joke, a funny interaction with a pet, or someone you love.
Okay, so finding those little moments of joy throughout the day. But can humor really help when things are truly tough?
You know, sometimes finding the humor in a difficult situation can be a way to cope.
Okay.
It helps you gain perspective.
So not denying the tough stuff.
No.
Just finding a way to lighten the load.
Exactly. And remember, laughter is contagious.
Yeah.
So sharing a laugh with someone can bring you closer, boost everyone's mood, and create a more positive atmosphere.
It's like a ripple effect of good vibes. Okay, so we've talked about so many different ways to manage stress.
Yeah.
Quick fixes, long-term strategies, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But as we get ready to move on to the next part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
is there one thing you want our listeners to really remember from all this?
Stress is a part of life. It's normal.
Oh.
And it doesn't have to control you. When you understand how stress works, how it affects you, and all the tools you have to manage it, you can change your relationship with it.
I like that.
From one of fear to one of empowerment.
That's so powerful. It's about taking back your power, knowing you have the resources to navigate the ups and downs. And remember, managing stress is an ongoing journey.
Yes.
Be patient with yourself. Celebrate those little wins.
Absolutely.
And don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
You got it.
Okay, so now let's take a deep breath and get ready to dive into the next part of our exploration.
Okay.
We'll uncover even more ways to build resilience
Awesome.
and thrive in the face of life's challenges.
Sounds great. And a wellspring of resilience. It's pretty amazing how we often think about creativity as something only for artists and musicians,
Right.
you know. But really, we all have that creative spark inside us.
It's true. It's like we're all artists in our own way, just waiting to be unleashed. But how do we tap into that, especially when stress has got us feeling like totally overwhelmed?
Sometimes the simplest things can be the most powerful, you know.
Yeah.
Try something easy, like coloring in a coloring book, doodling in a notebook, or even just playing with Play-Doh.
I love that. Giving ourselves permission to play and be a little silly.
Yeah.
But what if you're feeling stuck? Any tips for like jump-starting that imagination?
One thing I love to do is just shake things up. You know, take a different route to work, try a new restaurant, listen to music you've never heard before.
So mixing things up, trying new things.
Exactly. And surround yourself with things that inspire you. Go to an art museum, a concert, read a book by your favorite author, or just spend some time in nature.
It's like filling up your creative tank.
It is.
But what if you're just too stressed to even think about being creative?
Well, remember, being creative doesn't have to be some big project. It can be as simple as journaling for a few minutes, listening to music, or dancing around your living room.
Finding those small moments to be creative, even when life's hectic.
Speaking of finding moments, I'm really interested in this whole idea of the power of nature. The sources you shared really emphasized how spending time in nature can help with stress, boost our mood, and just make us feel better overall.
It really is amazing, isn't it? I think we often forget about the power of nature. We're so used to our busy lives or phones or computers that we forget how good it feels to just step outside and be in the natural world.
It's like we've lost touch with something essential. But how does nature actually work its magic?
Well, when we spend time in nature, our brains release endorphins, which have those mood-boosting effects we all love. Nature also helps to lower our levels of cortisol, that pesky stress hormone, and it can even lower blood pressure and heart rate.
It's like a natural chill pill.
It is. And you don't need a ton of time to reap the benefits. Even a few minutes a day can make a difference.
Wow. So a quick walk in the park, sitting under a tree, or just listening to the birds sing can really help.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you live in a city where it's tough to get out into nature, get creative. Bring nature to you. Add some plants to your home or office. Listen to nature sounds, or even just look at pictures of beautiful nature scenes.
I love that. Finding nature wherever you can. This has been such a fascinating exploration. I feel like we've uncovered so many incredible tools and techniques. As we wrap up, is there one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
Remember, building resilience is a journey, not a destination. It's a process of learning, growing, and evolving. Embrace the challenges, practice self-care, and cultivate a mindset of hope and possibility.
Beautifully said. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Reach out to your support system, seek professional help when needed, and keep practicing those resilience building techniques. We'd love to hear about your journey. Share your experiences and connect with us using the hashtag DeepDiverResilience. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and keep shining your light.